Welcome to the JJ Virgin Lifestyle Show with celebrity nutrition expert, fitness Hall of Famer, and four-time New York Times bestselling author, JJ Virgin. JJ is a warrior mom whose knowledge and expertise have helped change hundreds of thousands of lives with over 3.5 million podcast downloads and appearances on Dr. Phil, Dr. Oz, The Today Show, Rachel Ray, Larry King Live.
Whoa. This show is about you, not about me. I want to help you find practical, real-world ways to dial in your health and mindset so you can finally lose that weight and feel strong and energized. Stop settling for less than your personal best. It's time to find out how to look and feel better than ever. And I'll be right here with you the whole way. Hey, welcome to today's podcast. So I don't know about you. I remember growing up and reading this book, totally dating myself. Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. It was like the Bible for teenage girls trying to figure out what the heck was going on with their bodies. And so I'm super excited about my guest today because she wrote kind of the modern day guide to that, which I'm actually going to give to my boys. And so if you're wondering, what the heck how do I talk to my kids, my stepkids? We have got the guest for you today. It's my girlfriend, Dr. Nat Kringoudis. She is a 2 times best-selling Australian author. You will be able to tell that in a moment. Cute accent. She's a doctor of Chinese medicine and a hormone revolutionist. And what I've discovered is doctors who are Chinese medicine docs tend to be really good with fertility, ovulation, and that's always been her whole thing. And then she discovered that, here she was fixing a lot of problems with women in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and beyond, that if she'd met them earlier, she could have helped them avoid all of that. So that became her kind of new mission, is to help take the mystery out of the menstrual cycle and really help younger girls, teens, young women understand their bodies. And she has 2 podcasts, The Period Party and The Wellness Collective. And also she has a great gift for you at jjvirgin.com/hormone. Hey, wherever you are, if you're looking at something to give your teens or younger girls in your life, or you're looking for trying to figure out what the heck's going on with your hormones, you're going to want to grab this hormone worksheet, and it is jjvirgin.com/hormone. All right. Now, before we dive in, I want to dive in with a big shout out. Every week I go and I do a big shout out for someone who has left a review, and these mean everything to us. We so appreciate it when you're over there leaving reviews. It helps other people make that decision to come join us. And of course, while you're there, please don't forget to subscribe and share with your pals. So this one's from Jess Escobar. Very informative and helpful, 5-star review. And she says, I've been listening to JJ's podcast back to back and have learned so much. I love the questions she has for each guest and the listeners' questions at the end. My favorites so far are how to optimize your gut health and have poops to be proud of. Oh, you're so welcome. And I immediately had to share it with my parents. And the second one is willpower doesn't work. I seriously can't get enough of JJ. I am hooked. I also love her sense of humor. You feel like you actually know her after listening. Thanks so much. All right, Dr. Nat Kringoudis. That's the first time I've ever said your last name, actually.
Is it because you've been afraid to say it all that time?
I have been. It's so much easier and you're such a gnat. Anyway, not like the bug gnat. It just fits you. You're very bubbly. So welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I am super excited about what we're talking about today. If you are listening and you ever read the book, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. Like, this was the Bible for girls growing up. And you have done the book we all need to give. I'm actually going to get this for my boys. And I just love the fact that you're taking this on. So here you are, the woman out there educating about hormones, really helping people kind of master their hormones. And now you've decided to jump in and help teens and young adults. And I'm super excited about it. And let's kind of like backtrack about a bit, because I know you are very obsessed with hormones. I'd say, right?
Well, I didn't choose to be obsessed with hormones. I just had a whole bunch of women knocking on my clinic doors wanting help. And this was 15 years ago. So it was a very different landscape then to what it is now.
How so?
Well, what I was taught to treat wasn't what I was seeing in clinic. We had these modern day hormonal imbalances that weren't anything that I had learnt about. And so I had to go and, well, first of all, I resisted. I said, I'm never treating women's health. Women with imbalanced hormones are crazy. And that's not something that I want to do. That didn't seem fun to me at all. But it was, patient after patient and heartache after heartache. And I realised that, well, maybe I had to step up and help these women, because here in Australia especially, there was nobody doing that. And so I got their permission to practice. I said, I don't really know, but I have some ideas, and they let me do that. And we started to get amazing results, and there was no one else doing it. And so basically I became inundated with women with hormone imbalance doing the very thing I said I didn't want to do.
The word got out. And now you say hormones are your life hack.
I say hormones are your life hack. I love that. I love that line. Yes, I do, because they are everything. And when they are out of control, we are not in a great place. But I really did learn that these women that were experiencing, all of these symptoms ranging from infertility right through to, excruciating pain and mood disorders, I really sort of looked at them and thought, oh my goodness, if I could have gotten to you 15 years ago, this wouldn't be a problem for you right now, and really started to look into that space. Now, that's a bit different, obviously, because we're not talking to a 30-year-old educated woman anymore. We're looking at not rewinding, but we sort of, reaching out to these young teens, and that is a very different place of communication. I'm watching my daughter grow up right now, and she's only 11, but they have a very different attitude towards their health. So, how do we do this? I started to explore the idea of talking to younger women around their menstrual and reproductive health and sexual health. And all of a sudden, here I am.
Well, I love that you're saying that, because, I know we were talking offline. You were talking about how here you are helping women with all sorts of issues. And you thought, well, gosh, what if they just didn't create the problems in the first place? I'm assuming that's why you've decided you need to go and start helping girls.
Yeah, well, a couple of things, I guess. I know that what I was taught in high school was so far from what actually happens. And so I didn't really have the facts to begin with. And I think often the facts are skimmed over. So we're shortchanged from the get-go. And I think that's a disaster. I was seeing women coming into the clinic in their mid-30s, and I would talk about ovulation with them, and they had no idea what I was talking about. So I recognized that we did have this big gap that, we needed to fill. And then I guess, really fixing it before it's broken was the other thing that became apparent to me. Can we fix this before it's a problem? And when these small little symptoms start to show up in our mid to late teens, what is our body actually speaking to us at that point in time? Let's not mask the symptoms and start to treat it accordingly. Can I tell you, it's much quicker to treat somebody with a problem that's only been there for a year as opposed to someone who's had a problem which they've pretended hasn't been there for 15 years. It's a very different thing.
What I've seen over the years is that I can't tell you how many times I saw this, and I was like, how could this be where people didn't know they had PCOS? And I had endometriosis in my 20s, and the only reason I had a nurse practitioner who goes, I just have a feeling. I was going, okay, a feeling, right? But she was spot on.
And that was me too. Was
it?
Yeah, I was the teenager on the bathroom floor in excruciating pain. I used to vomit and pass out. I would press my face up against the tiles because they were cold and my body was so boiling hot. And I vividly remember this. Now, having said that, I grew up in a household where it was like hippie healthy. Like my mum was embarrassingly hippie healthy. And, she'd ingrained this natural way of living, but I rebelled in my teens when I moved away to study, and, there was fast food outlets around the corner. So I started doing the exact opposite to what I had had my whole life. And that's when the trouble started. I didn't associate the trouble with my diet and lifestyle. I just thought, like every other 16 to 18-year-old, that was normal, that we had to have period pain because we're told it's normal, and it's not normal, it's a symptom. So I kind of went off the rails. And what really when I thought about me as a young woman, what really made the difference for me had nothing to do with my hormones. It was more about how I felt and how I looked. I had acne, I was overweight, and that was continuing to spiral alongside of my terrible menstrual cycles. And my motivation was really to lose weight. But as I did that as a young woman, all my other symptoms dissipated. So looking back, I had the tools ingrained in me from a young age. My mum had educated me. Sure, I'd rebelled. I think we all do that. But the information that was ingrained in me was what brought me back on track again eventually. And so I think that, we are speaking to not only teenagers, but we're also speaking to mothers as well, because how do we educate our teenagers in a way that they want to hear? I didn't want to hear about my period pain being because of my hormones and because I had to do this or that or the other, but I did want to hear about how I could fix my weight gain and my bloating and my acne.
But here's the big challenge now when I hear all of this stuff, because I'm just thinking back to, when I was a teenager, and I even know it now because one of my friend's daughters was put on the birth control pill for her acne. Like there's still, the information is still not out there that connects the dot between diet and stress and, period issues. It's still not really out there, which is crazy. Like until now, thankfully. And it seems like to me that girls are having more challenges than ever. I mean, that PCOS is happening, which PCOS shouldn't happen at all. It seems like it's happening earlier. I'm now hearing so much about endometriosis. What the heck's going on?
Yeah, well, I mean, we are living modern life. We are fast-paced. We're exposed to chemicals. We are, if you've stepped into a high school lately, I have the privilege of speaking to these girls. They are so stressed, far beyond what I would have been at 16. The pressure that they are put under academically is insane. And, you can't change your genes. If you're genetically predisposed to have PCOS or endometriosis or whatever that might be for you, you can't change that. But what you can change is the environment that you're putting your body in. I always say we're like petri dishes. You did a biology experiment in year in high school, and you put bacteria or whatever into a petri dish, and one of them you put in the incubator and one of them you put on the windowsill, and what grew and what manifested varied based on the environment that it was in. So it's the same for anybody, no matter what age or what stage. But I really think it's the stress and pressure that young people are exposed to that's seeing these problems arise earlier. I think back to when maybe I was of that age, and the stress and the pressure, sure, it was towards the later end of my schooling, but it really started in my 20s for me. I think it's just happening younger and younger, and that's why we're seeing these conditions alongside these other things, like I said, exposure to toxins and chemicals and lifestyle as well.
Yeah, so all the xenoestrogens, all these estrogen-like things in our food and all the toxins, and then the stress, and then all the social media, and then never shutting the technology off. It's like
Absolutely. It's all around us, and no one's really teaching us how to cope with that. No one's saying, there's some tools to implement that are going to change your life. I love to talk about the idea with these young girls with the idea of the everyday. So what is it every day that you can do that's actually going to count? It's not the big grand gesture necessarily. It's not the knight in shining armor that's going to come along and save you. It's actually the little things that we can implement for you each and every day to make them just small habits that really have the most profound effect on our hormones and balancing our hormones.
So what are a couple of those that you could roll out?
I think we choose stress because it got an outcome, and stress is there to do that. Absolutely, we need it. But I think when we're in this perpetual state of stress, we choose it again and again and again, and we don't really have the perspective to get ourselves out. So one of the things I ask people to do is to just assess when you're feeling overwhelmed. Stop for a second. Does it really matter? Like, is it going to really change your life for the next however long? Chances are probably not, and that we just need to step back a little bit and have some perspective. So that's one thing I really encourage patients. It's been a game changer for patients, and it's so simple. It's actually not rocket science, but no one's saying, hey, just stop a second. Does this warrant precious release of your cortisol? Because that's going to imbalance everything else if that's the case. It's just a coping mechanism, and we're designed to be that way. It's not a design fault. It works perfectly. It's just that we're overusing it and abusing it. The other thing that I get, especially teenagers, to do is to write things down as they're coming up. Often there's lots of things that they need to tick off, whether it's, outside of school activities integrated with assignments or whatever else might be coming up for them. When that's all in our head, it can feel really overwhelming. So just make a list, write it down. I know it sounds very simple, but when you can get it out of your head and onto a page, all of a sudden you can stand back and actually feel a little bit of relief because it's all there in front of you. So that's something else that I would encourage. And one more, we say it all the time, and it's drummed into us, but if you haven't got your nutrition right, then it's the one thing. It's either going to take you where you want to go or where you don't want to go, especially when it comes to symptoms of hormone imbalance and balancing hormones, at the core of it. So let's look at your diet and what can we do to bring in things that are more hormone friendly, fats and protein at every meal, really nourishing your body and trying to work out the best way of what suits you so that we can, just steer your body and your cells to work at their best.
So let's switch gears. And I love all the attention now that is coming up around birth control. I mean, literally, when I heard a friend tell me that their daughter had been, prescribed birth control pill for her acne a year ago, I was like, this is still happening, right? Because I've got boys. So boys don't get prescribed birth control pills. So I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, this is still out there. Someone would actually say to go do this. What are all the different crazy things we're using birth control pills for? And why does this create such a big problem? Because you've just said you'd rather take them younger so that you can stop all this damage you're seeing. What are the things that the birth control pill can do?
Yeah, well, I think the biggest problem is that we're prescribed it as a treatment, and it was never designed really, well, maybe some might argue that it was, but it's supposed to actually be it's a contraception. It shouldn't never be a treatment. It cannot fix your hormones. It never has been. It's never going to be able to. It's just not what it does. It flatlines our hormones altogether. So we're using it from, acne, PMS, ovulation pain, period pain. I say this in inverted commas, regulating your menstrual cycle, which it simply cannot do. So you're using it for long periods, heavy periods, missing periods, you name it, depression even, anxiety. We're using it for so many things that it doesn't actually fix, it just masks the symptoms of. And the problem with that is that I find with my patients, depending on, we're all different again, but depending on who you are and the environment that you're in and your lifestyle, eventually the symptoms come back tenfold, even though you might still be using it. So it's because it doesn't address the problem. And we also know that it starts to really wreak havoc with our gut health, our microbiome. It really doesn't, long term, it's not great for our liver either. So all of a sudden, not only have we not treated the problem, but we've got more problems because it's created more problems for us. Now, I say to people all the time, look, there could be people out there very happily taking these or not knowing that they don't feel great whilst they're taking it. I only see the people that aren't. And my view of that is not, a positive one, because I see so many women, thousands of women, that are being basically tortured because they haven't actually treated the problem. They've just masked it. So, the same goes for any type of synthetic birth control or hormonal birth control, whether it's the Mirena or, an Implanon or an implant. They all do the same thing. They are all releasing these synthetic hormones that manipulate how our body works.
Yeah, and that's the key thing you just said there. It's not fixing anything. It's actually masking the problem and creating another one.
Totally, and it's so frustrating. And I think the other frustrating thing is I think doctors are frustrated too, because that's all they have to offer. And I mean, we're definitely moving more into this integrative space where doctors are, more aware. But I think the problem also is that there's a big gap with who's prescribing. It's not necessarily a gynecologist that's prescribing you the pill. It's your general doctor, and his awareness of hormones might be quite limited. So that's concerning as well. If you're a 16-year-old girl and you don't have your period yet, and you're concerned as a parent that why has this not come, you go to your GP, they prescribe the pill, and you think that you're actually treating the problem when you're not. You're not looking at the reasons why she doesn't have her period, but you're also taking the best advice off, your doctor's trying to do the best they can, but that's not their area. So it's concerning as to how the way that we're getting prescribed these medications isn't really ideal either.
That makes sense. And what I'd read somewhere that girls are getting periods at younger and younger ages, and they're actually supposed to be getting their periods at older ages, like 15, 16. Is that true?
Yeah. It's like you said before, these xenoestrogens, it's believed that in xenoestrogens, so the chemicals that, are mimicking estrogen in our body are instigating that happening earlier and earlier. And girls as young as 8 and 9 are now showing, getting their periods or showing signs that it's nearing. So, I've got a 10-year-old daughter, and she's starting to show signs that that's the next step. She is so not worldly, and it's really quite a challenge. How do we educate, these young women? And I have mothers all the time saying that, what do I do? And really, I think as a mother, the one thing we have to do is be the example. We can't always, preach it. No matter what age our teenagers are, they might not want to hear it. But I think if we can actually just come back as parents to being that example, that's where it actually starts. It's not about forcing someone to do something. The other thing I really encourage mothers to do is the facts. Like, let's present the facts. We don't need to shy away from it. It's a body function. We don't need to, we are emotionally attached to it because often our reproductive organs come with other attachments, whether it's, that's emotional, that's because of a relationship. But when you explain it to a 10-year-old or a 12-year-old, they don't have that attachment. They just go, oh, yeah, that's how the body works. So, my daughter had sex ed a class a few weeks back, and they were explaining the way that the body worked. And she got home and she said to me, so you have eggs and Dad has sperm? And I said, yes. And she says, but how do they get together? And I said, well, that's something that you choose to make happen. When the time is right, that's something that you choose to make happen. And so she looked at me and she was horrified. And I said to her, Mummy and Daddy have to spend time together. And she looked at me, and my son says out the corner, yeah, they've got to like hug and stuff. And that was very cute. Anyway, but the point is, she wasn't emotionally attached to that. She just looked at that as if it was a fact. And she was like, oh, okay. But this is the funniest part of that story. Then she turns to me and she says, but hang on, are you mean to tell me that you could have a baby, you could make a baby today? I said to her, well, no, not today, but at some time in my menstrual cycle, yes. She was more horrified. She didn't care about how conception occurred. She was more horrified with the fact that I wasn't choosing to have another baby at the moment. She's like, you mean I could have a sister this month and you're preventing that from happening? I was like, yeah, I don't want that. Mom. Yeah, I know, right? So, but it is. It's just about educating the facts. Like I said, you think that that we have far more of an issue with it than they do. And they just want the information.
Well, I love the fact you've written this book because honestly, you actually make it way easier because you can just give them the book and answer questions. So like you just made it so much easier. Thank you. And also what you're giving everybody listening is fantastic too, because you are going to have people have a simple evaluation, whether it's for your daughter or for yourself on what's going on with your hormones. So talk about the hormone worksheet that you have for everybody.
Definitely. So, there are some really common hormone imbalances, and I see the most common. And so the worksheet just helps you to work out what hormone imbalance is most likely that you're experiencing or your daughter's experiencing based on your signs and symptoms. So it's very basic, but I think that's what we need. We need simple when we're 16. And even when, I don't know about you, but I think we need simple at all times.
Simple always. I need simple.
But it works really well to help you to then explore that, what's it showing for you, what might actually be out of balance, and then the next steps in what you might be able to do to help to steer your body through this idea of the everyday. What can we do each and every day that's really simple to steer our body back to balance?
Perfect. So here's how you get that. You get that at jjvirgin.com/hormone. That is jjvirgin.com/hormone. And Nat, thank you so much for sharing all your brilliance with us today. I so appreciate you.
Oh, you too. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Now, after the break, I'll be answering a listener's question, so stay with me.
It's scary, but true. Sugar is hiding everywhere. In diet foods, packaged foods, dressings, and even sugar substitutes. It's not about cutting out all sugar. It's knowing which sugars to choose and which to lose. What if you could drop 7 hidden sugars, lose up to 10 pounds in just 2 weeks? JJ Virgin will show you how with a simple 4-step plan to cut cravings and rev up your metabolism to lose fat fast. And forever. Visit jjvirgin.com/books and order The Sugar Impact Diet. You can shed up to 10 pounds in 2 weeks. Visit jjvirgin.com/books.
Welcome back. This is the time where I answer a listener's question. And today's question comes from Maria. And Maria asked on one of my Facebook Lives, she goes, I just was told I had estrogen dominance. How do I know if this is the case? All right. Well, so here's the easiest thing. The worksheet that Nat has put together, and again, that's at jjvirgin.com/hormone, is going to be an easy place to start to help you kind of look at what's really going on. Is it an estrogen issue, a progesterone issue, a testosterone issue, a cortisol issue? The deal is when you really start to look at your hormones, and people talk about your hormones being a symphony, and that is absolutely the case. And when you're looking at hormones, you've got to look at insulin, thyroid, cortisol, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, because they all need to work together and be balanced. And so one of the challenges when you're doing hormone testing is your hormones going to fluctuate all throughout the month. So that's one of the things that you need to take into account. I really like the test. It's called the Dutch test. And we will put the references in this show notes, again, at jjvirgin.com/hormone for how to do direct-to-consumer thyroid testing to get a comprehensive panel there. If your thyroid's not working well, it's going to throw all your hormones off. So that's number one. If your vitamin D is low, it's going to interfere with thyroid and also the rest of your hormone cascade. So you're going to want to make sure both of those are optimized. You'll also need to make sure that you're managing your stress well, because when cortisol starts to go sideways, it can lower progesterone. But then one of the classic hallmarks of being what's called estrogen dominant is when you're under stress, progesterone's low, you carry more body fat, you're producing estrogen through your body fat, and also you might be getting estrogens, xenoestrogens in from some of the foods and toxins you're getting in, like plastics have xenoestrogens. So testing, the worksheet can help you start to self-identify. Then you can move to the next level of testing. We'll put the resources in the show notes. And again, what you're going to find is a lot of things that we talk about here in terms of identifying your hidden food intolerances, lowering your sugar impact, eating a high fiber diet, managing your stress, sleeping well, exercise. All those things are key foundational elements to help you start balancing your hormones as well. And then if you need to go and get a little more focused, again, use the information you're going to get from the worksheet to help you start to look at where should I go next. All righty. Reminder one more time, if you've not subscribed yet, be sure to subscribe, share it with your friends, leave a review so I can do a shout out to you, and I will see you next week. Bye.
That's all for this episode of the JJ Virgin Lifestyle Show, which marks another step towards a healthier body and mind. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the show, and we'll talk to you next week.